Dalmore is a leading broker-dealer, an online fundraising platform for Reg A and crowdfunding offerings. Now, they've done 58% of Reg A offerings in the market. Dalmore has helped raise more than $1 billion in capital and has launched over 1,000 companies, and more than 1 million investments have been made on the Dalmore platform since 2005. And interestingly, this was the platform used to fractionalize the ownership of the racing horse Mage, which won the Kentucky Derby this year. So I want to hear more about that. Eitan Butler, the CEO of Dalmore, great to have you with us today.
Yeah.
So just tell me about the platform and how do you raise money for companies?
Right. I would think of this as a technology platform that allows for companies, enables companies to raise capital directly from their own website, from anyone over the age of 18 pretty much in the world, obviously including customers, fans, followers, subscribers, but also through some of these exemptions allow for companies to raise money from anyone over 18 and generally solicit and advertise the offering as well.
Now, what does it mean for a company to raise money through a Reg A or crowdfunding, and what kind of company would pursue that avenue?
These are securities exemptions, again, that enable companies, US-based companies, to raise money from anyone over 18 by putting an invest button directly on their website. It's particularly being relevant today in the face of the decrease in venture capital investing and private equity investing, and especially if you're unfortunately a female or a minority who historically, embarrassingly in this country, have had a very difficult time accessing investment banking funds as well as venture capital funding. In the VC world, it's less than, I think, 2% of money has gone to female and minorities, whereas in the crowdfunding world, which levels the playing field because you could go after your own community and convert customers into investors, is closer to 30%.
Yeah, interesting.
Which is amazing.
Well, and I remember when this was legalized, and I don't know, what was it, 2016 or something, I'm guessing about that. And I remember thinking, well, this is just another avenue for people to raise money if they can't go the traditional routes like VC or, which leads to an IPO and that kind of thing. So it just allows people a different way to raise capital. And what are some of the advantages that companies that do raise capital this way, what are the advantages to doing that?
The advantages are you get to give your customers, fans, followers, and the general public an opportunity to become shareholders in your vision. You get to decide on the offering structure and the terms and the valuation terms of the offering as well, rather than them being dictated to you by a private equity firm or a venture capital firm. So this really democratizes access to investment capital by allowing you to go out to potentially hundreds of millions of people, where you get to craft your message, you get to market your offering. And what we provide is kind of like a Shopify experience. It's a completely white-labeled investment button that's placed on the website or app. And we have the technology and the back end that allows for you to track the analytics, because investments in Reg CF and Reg A operate a bit more like what you're accustomed to with e-commerce. These are typically smaller investments. Right, so you lower the barrier to allow the masses and, to participate. Oftentimes $500 or $1,000. Oftentimes put on a credit card or an ACH. So very different than the traditional investment banking process. Right, I'm taking my message to the public. They have the opportunity to act relatively quickly. And over 80% of the investments that we've seen are happening on iPhones, right? They're happening with credit cards. So the idea of making this process easy and as frictionless as possible, right, is really important and something that we're really obsessed with.
And it's also good for the fans and investors of these companies. They may not have been able to be an early investor with a company that's gone the traditional route, but this way they can. They know the product, they love the product. Maybe they see something that others haven't seen, and they have a chance to have some upside.
That's the other side of these exemptions, right? On the one hand, it allows an issuer, right, an entrepreneur, a founder, to take their message out to the public, but it also allows now non-accredited investors to participate in these offerings. That's big. Regulation D, which many people are accustomed to, which is the most popular private securities exemption, allows you to market but only raise money from accredited investors, right? Generally under 10% of the population. Now, with regulation CF and A, you could raise money from anyone over the age of 18.
Interesting.
Right? And that's a big difference. It's the other 90% that could participate.
No, it's huge. Yeah, it democratizes that as well. Why would someone choose Reg A versus CF? What are those two kind of avenues like?
So Reg CF allows companies to raise up to $5 million per year from anyone over 18. it's a cheaper and faster way to go to market, right? So there's some advantages there. Regulation A, on the other hand, allows for companies to raise up to $75 million a year, much larger offering. There's some other nuances, like Regulation A shares are freely tradable, right? So that lends itself well if you're fractionalizing an asset, right, that you want to facilitate secondary market trading for, right? You could have an Invest Now button on your website, and you could also have a bid and ask column for secondary trading opportunities as well. That's also very big. Whereas Reg CF, there's a 1-year hold, a lockup on the shares, just like there is with Reg D. So there's some of the differences.
Are there protections for investors like you see in some of the public markets?
Yeah, well, number one is you have disclosures, right? So investors have to acknowledge that, this is every investment carries risk, and you could lose 100% of your principal. These are private securities.
And a stock as well.
It's not, right. And because there's also the involvement of a broker-dealer and technology. And the broker-dealer does due diligence on the issuer, background checks, et cetera. And there's also know your customer, anti-money laundering, OFAC, advertising review, different types of things that the regulated entity hopefully could provide additional protections to investors through.
How does a company know if it's ready for Reg A or crowdfunding?
Well, if you're looking for money today and you're a startup, what are your options, right? You have friends and family.
Right.
Good luck.
Your own credit card.
There's usually strings attached to that. Not everyone wants that. Then there's going and get the attention of an investment bank. Good luck with that.
Right.
It's a very small percentage of people will. But now there's an opportunity for everyone, whatever stage they're at, even if it's concept, to say, I'm excited about this. This is who's behind it. This is what we're looking to achieve. I welcome you to participate in this structure. So I would say if you have an existing fan base, audience, customer list, you have a tremendous advantage. However, you don't need that. You don't only need that. You could also market and promote. So if you have a good marketing strategy or a marketing company behind you, and you're getting an adequate return on your advertising spend for the sale of your securities, that also is a great thing. So it could be a startup, and it could be a more advanced company right before they go public. Right? Instead of doing that last $50 million round from private equity, they may be able to get better terms and maybe even more success from going after their own customer base. Yeah, right?
Interesting. So walk me through the process with Dalmore, and how do you help a company do this, and what are the benefits of working with your company?
So Dalmore is a FINRA, an SEC-registered broker-dealer investment bank. We were founded in 2005. And we spent the first 10 years really focused primarily on providing institutional investment banking. And then at the time of the Jobs Act in 2012 is when this all really started, Obama's Jobs Act, we saw an opportunity to help companies raise capital online at scale. And these are all regulated crowdfunding raises. So our main focus is on providing them with a frictionless technology and also adequate security, compliance, and regulatory infrastructure. So we kind of, each of these exemptions, Reg CF, Reg A, Reg D, they're all tools that allow for issuers, entrepreneurs, to raise capital broadly and to market their offering. We help advise them which is the right one for your stage right now. What's a trajectory? How do you market this? What's the importance of having access to the analytics so you could see the success of your marketing efforts? These are all the things that we're doing, and it's growing very quickly. We've worked with over 1,000 companies, private companies, to help them raise capital online. And we see ourselves at the center of this, and it's super exciting as we continue to innovate. Yeah,
it is exciting to allow more people access to the financial markets than what we've seen, say, a generation ago. So thank you, Eitan, so much for coming in and explaining the company to us.
My pleasure. Great to be here. Thank you.